JAMFOB, yes, JAMFOB, JAMFOB. Look it up in the BJ Show .co-glossary.
JAMFOB.
JAMFOB, yes, JAMFOB, JAMFOB.
JAMFOB.
Look it up in the BJ Show .co-glossary.
Voices blending, melodies ascending, harmony in the air. Our songs are never ending. In the barbershop we create magic. Brad and John Show, yeah. It's pure classic. No instruments needed, just our vocal range. Notes flying high, it's our musical exchange. Tracy's station may try, but they can't compete. Our barbershop style, it can't be beat. Oh, the harmony of voices, so sweet. In the barbershop of life, our tunes will repeat. No need for instruments, no need for a band. Just the Brad and John Show, the finest in the land.
It is the Brad and John Show, and it wouldn't be the Brad and John Show without John Combest. Good morning, John.
Good morning to you, Brad. And the show wouldn't be the Brad and John Show without you. In fact, we wouldn't even be on the air if it wasn't for our station owner, Brad Hildebrand.
Listen to you. All nice. You're trying to make up for the insults you gave me yesterday. That is John Combest, C-O-M-B-E-S-T. Every single day of his life, he puts together this incredible website that features all sorts of interesting news that you should know about. Now, he doesn't do the whole stories, doesn't do any fancy stuff on the website. It's just links, sort of like the old Drudge Report for Missouri only, but much better than the old Drudge Report. Well, actually much better than the new Drudge Report, akin to the old Drudge Report, which was excellent. And by the way, I forgot to mention, this is September 19th. It's a Friday, and this is A Block for those of you listen to us in the future. This show is live. We're on the air live right now for those listening over the air at 104.5 and also on the stream. Yes, we are live. So, what we do is, today's going to be one of those days, John. Okay, so what we start off the show with, we bring in on Friday a special group of boys we call the Polka Boys.
Time for the John Combest Top 3.
As the aforementioned John Combest intro, John puts together this website. We do it special on Friday because we start with the Polka Boys. And we also have another character. His name is...
I'm Casey Kasem.
And we start off with John's number 3, which is right here. Casey, take it away.
In third place,
We have some comments today from Congressman Eric Burlison. And these comments are brought to us via the Missouri Net. Brad, there's a message from Eric Burlison, and then there's what I think is a meta message of the whole story. Let's start with the original message. Burlison was talking about artificial intelligence, and he's talking about a lot of the folks that are scared of artificial intelligence, the idea of replacing jobs. So Burlison gave a straightforward analogy. He said, we don't have a ton of people that are farmers today compared to the percentage of population that were farmers, say, 100 years ago. And that's because of technology advances. And we wouldn't say today, Burlison continues, we wouldn't say today, hey, wait a minute, let's replace all the modern farm machinery and technology and variable planters. Those are my words, not Burlison's. We wouldn't replace that farm technology and go back to the way we farmed 100 years ago just because it employed more people. So we shouldn't be scared of AI replacing jobs because it's part of the natural evolution of technology. Now, when Burlison lays it out like that, I think most anybody can see the analogy and say, hey, that analogy holds up. That makes a lot of sense. That's the message, Brad. what I think the meta message is here is that a lot of my fellow right-wingers look at any sort of technology in which large tech companies are dominating. So maybe, I don't know, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, and look at it and say, well, if these big tech companies are making money and replacing jobs, it has to be for nefarious purposes. We must oppose it. Sound like data centers to you, Brad? Anyway, what I think the meta message is here is you have a good rock-ribbed conservative. Well, wait a minute. You have a great rock-ribbed conservative like Eric Burlison coming out and saying, hey, we should be embracing AI, not disparaging it just because it's replacing jobs. You, Brad, point out the caves, the Citizens Against Virtually Everything, the NIMBYs, the not in my backyard crowd. And I have a feeling that you agree with Eric Burlison on this.
Well, he's right, and I'll give you a perfect example. At the crap transmitter site, I have Farmer Bob Lay, who farms the property just south of me. It's him. I mean, he's the only guy. The only time there's more than him is when they go through harvesting season, when I think he hires like a combine dude or stuff like that. But it's him plowing the crops. It's him, planting the seeds. It's him, doing all the tilling and stuff like that. And you go back, 100 years? It would have been, 30, 40 different people, something like that, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It would have required a lot more people for planting. And farmer, what did you say his first name is, Brad?
His first name is Bob. His last name is Lay, Ley.
But Farmer Bob, for example, can also, not only does he need fewer people on his staff or as farm hands, but he's also, when he does it himself, he's also able to do it so much more efficiently. So I love the message from Burlison because to me, it signals to our fellow right-wingers, I'm not including you in that, Brad, because you're an American, you're not a Republican. But it signals to our fellow right-wingers, hey, technology isn't something to just recoil from. We can also embrace it.
John, there's one interesting aspect of this deal with Farmer Bob. Remember how you felt, Wednesday when you were down at Dave Sinclair Ford and you looked around at the fellow gentlemen with you who were getting their prostate screening? Remember how you felt? You felt like maybe you were 30 years younger than most of them? Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, absolutely I felt that way.
Okay, I'm not a young guy, and when I'm in a room with all the farmers down there in what I'll call the Crap Valley, they call it the Village of Three Creeks, I'm a youngster, so that's the only thing that's problematic to me about the farm community is if I'm the youngest guy in the room, what does that tell you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. And it also presents a great opportunity because if you're a young guy, you see all these old guys dying off and you think, hey, their estates are going to be in distress after these old guys croak. Maybe I can get that farmland for a pretty cheap price.
John, if you play your cards right, when I die, you might end up with the radio station. Then you can maybe get all the farmland and you can farm because you have that background with Monsanto/Bayer and you have that radio background doing here. You're like the double threat, man.
I didn't say that I was hoping for negative prostate results for you, Brad. I certainly wasn't saying that. But I did reference taking over the radio station yesterday on the air, though.
I know you did. Okay, are we ready for number 2?
Yeah, let's give it to us.
Up a notch to number 2.
Oh, here's a story you're going to love, Brad. To quote the Wu-Tang Clan decades ago, I got my pinky ring back. They said pinky ring is a substitute for Uzi on the radio. But you know who didn't get I got my helmet back? St. Louis police officers, Brad. Now, you say, John, what does a police helmet have anything to do with John's top 3? Well, 2 stories today. One from St. Louis Public Radio, the other from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. We'll go with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch one, just to be a little more fair. The headline, protester sues WashU Eureka police. Protester sues WashU Eureka police officer over arrest after pro-Palestine protest. My eyesight is failing me today, Brad. So here's what Monica Obranovic says. One of the 100 protesters arrested at a demonstration on Washington University's campus in 2024 is suing the university and a Eureka Police Department officer over claims of harassment and unlawful arrest. Brad, as the story goes, this woman, Caitlin Kilgo, she's 36 years old, And she says that she has been harassed, and she says that she is feeling a lot of anxiety because some folks, including WashU Police Department, say that she stole a police helmet during one of the riots. They think that she has a riot helmet that she stole and ran off with, and they want it back. And Miss Kilgo says, "What helmet? I don't know anything about a helmet. Who has a police helmet?" Now, Brad, I know that you're a fan of skimming the St. Louis Public Radio stories. This one seems right up your alley. Did you already read this one?
I did not, but I can sort of see where this is going. But finish it out.
Yeah. So she says that here's the main argument. Miss Kilgo says she was arrested the night of the protest. And again, 5 months later, because the WashU Police Department, or WUPD, put out what's a quote-unquote wanted call for her arrest. Now, Miss Kilgo is represented by the noble Arch City Defenders. You've talked about them before, Brad. The Arch City Defenders. And they say that because WashU used the quote-unquote wanted bulletin, it was unlawful. You're only supposed to put out a wanted bulletin for someone if there's a real emergency or a real need. And they say, hey, going after this lady because she might or might not allegedly have a helmet, that's not a real need. Now, you would know more about this than I would, Brad. Ms. Abradovic goes on to say, WashU PD officers have access to a regional system used by area police departments to issue statewide arrest or wanted orders without first obtaining a warrant. The system allows officers to arrest people without a judge's approval and the probable cause needed for arrest warrants. So the way that I see this, Brad, WashU PD eventually went into the system and said, hey, this woman was on campus. She's a bad actor. She had bad behavior. If you find this woman, arrest her. And in fact, this woman was arrested in September 2024. She said she was driving to a nature preserve. Who doesn't want to go to a nature preserve on a beautiful September day? And a Eureka police officer pulled her over and said, hey, lady, you're wanted thanks to WashU PD. Oh, and P.S., we know about that helmet that you stole. And then Kilgo, to wrap this up, Brad, Kilgo says, it seems more like this missing helmet situation was a fishing expedition to me. I don't know why they decided to put the target on my back. So it looks like, Brad, Arch City Defenders is like, hey, leave these protesters alone. This is not a serious thing. Just let them be. Don't pull them over.
John, do they have video of her? I mean, how did they suspect her in the first place?
I think they used their own two eyes. I think multiple officers used their own two eyes. And in fact, she was at an event some time ago. She attended a protest outside the county jail about a year ago. Two men inside an unmarked black vehicle pulled up and started shouting her name. She recognized one of them from the protest day. And according to her, one of the officers shouted, "We want our helmet back."
Really?
Yeah. Miss Kilgo says, I kind of froze. You don't get your full legal name yelled in public very often. And because of this, Brad, I don't know if you know this, but when an officer yells your name in public, Miss Kilgo has been suffering, quote, emotional distress, fear, and anxiety.
Oh, my God.
You can't just go around shouting somebody's government name, Brad. So anyway, they want their helmet back. She's like, what helmet you talking about? And Arch City Defender says, stop harassing protesters.
Okay, first off, and I'm taking a wild guess here, but if it's a tactical helmet made out of Kevlar, those are hundreds of dollars. So they could charge her with stealing over, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, probably. And I mean, I don't mean to interrupt your other point, Brad, but like to quote the Oscar-winning film Friday, it's the principality of it. Even if it wasn't over $100, even if it was a Little League batting helmet, you still don't want some protester stealing a helmet as a trophy.
What was it, sitting somewhere, or did she pull it off the head of some guy?
I don't know exactly how the helmet was obtained, Brad.
God, this is so weird. And you know, I haven't been a police dispatcher in a long time, but I think the Missouri system is still called Regis, Regis. And essentially, that's how I got pulled over, with my one license plate, where it was a felony stop because of the fact that they thought I was a 25-year-old black female who had a warrant out for her for first-degree murder because my license plate came back as a hit through the Regis system. But that's a whole nother story.
Well, but in their defense, Brad, we never talked about this on the air, but I did some digging, and I found out why they thought you were a 25-year-old black woman.
Why is that, John?
They pulled your credit score.
No. They thought I was dressed like Jimmy Kimmel when he was on the Man Show doing the Karl Malone bit. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Jimmy did a lot of stuff 25 years ago on the Man Show that I think he'd prefer went away.
Right. That's what they should put on instead of the Jimmy Kimmel Live. They should put on reruns of the Man Show with him and Adam Carolla. And people would go
girls jumping on trampolines.
Right. In bikinis drinking beer. Okay. We ready for number one?
Yeah, let's do it.
The number one.
This story has been flirting with the top three all week long and didn't crack it until today. And we got to give credit to Eric Schmitt for this one, for finally cracking the top three with this story. A headline from the Missouri Net. Senator Eric Schmitt wants Missouri's Fort Leonard Wood to serve as ICE training site. Now, we've seen a few headlines pop up on johncombest.com this week, mostly coming from Senator Josh Hawley. And in fact, in a moment of humility, Josh Hawley in his interviews has said, hey, I can't take credit for suggesting that ICE do their training at Fort Leonard Wood because the folks at Fort Leonard Wood suggested it to me. So let's give credit to the folks at Fort Leonard Wood. Now, echoing that same sentiment of bringing ICE folks here is Senator Schmitt this week at a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing. Here's what Schmitt said. Fort Leonard Wood, which I'm sure you're familiar with in the great state of Missouri, has a lot of land and has a number of missions, including training our military police, and has also been the home of the Army's criminal investigative training special agent training efforts. So it's well positioned. So what we know, Brad, not only do you have Josh Hawley putting in a call to Kristi Noem, the director of Homeland Security, saying, hey, bring those ICE agents here to Missouri. We now have before the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator Schmitt echoing the same sentiment. Brad, it seems natural that we would want to have ICE folks right here in the great state of Missouri, don't you think?
I saw that story the other day and I thought to myself, okay, what's the problem with this? I mean, they complain that the ICE agents aren't necessarily, and even like the National Guard aren't necessarily police, but that is correct, is because Fort Leonard Wood does have that training program there for, I believe, for the MPs. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. I think that's what Schmitt is saying here.
Yes. So, in other words, they are training them as police officers, and there is a training center there. So, I don't know. The whole thing's just sort of nutty. Did you hear the other day that I think Kristi Noem was talking about this, that they now have 150,000 applications for ICE agents? Did you hear that?
No, I did not hear that. Wow, that's pretty impressive, right? People want to be, it's kind of like during World War II. People your generation, Brad, ran to sign up for the war. They were inspired to do the right thing.
Or 9/11, where a lot of people showed up on September 12th to join the armed services right here in the United States.
Yeah, and wanted to fight terrorism, right, Brad? It's like when young men and women listen to our show and they decide they want to pursue a career in radio.
And then I tell them, don't do it.
Yeah, then Brad says, go look at my credit report and that of a 25-year-old black woman, and you'll change your mind.
But she's got an arrest warrant out for her, and I don't. Okay. Are we ready to move into the most important? This was the second most important block of the show. Are we ready to move into the most important block of the show, the B block, the Brad block, John?
Wait, I thought it was C block. I thought it was crazy, weird story block.
And by the way, C block, I have a short interview this morning, so I hope you don't mind that.
Oh, fantastic. Is it with, let me guess, Brad, is it somebody that you're going to say, now, let me tell you, that's pretty wimpy. Did I ever tell you the time? Yes, Brad, you told us about Caesars, but you could bore this poor woman. Is it that interview?
Yes, it is. Okay.
All right, Brad. Okay, I'm going to dial back in for you.
Okay.